So for this video I'm not in the van, I'm in the nice warm house and I'm sitting in bed with my laptop and I'm going to go through the design for the van and my intentions with how I'm going to build the van. For the first stage of designing your van, I recommend you draw yourself up something like this. So all I did was I went outside with a pen and paper and a tape measure and I measured the dimensions of the van. So I got the wheel arches in there at the bottom, the distances, any distances I needed to know for the design. You can see at the front I got the single driver's chair and the double passenger chair there as well, just for indication. You can look up the dimensions online, but I feel it's better to measure it yourself as it's way more accurate, and also you might want to take away some distance or for your insulation and cladding, so your actual realistic usable area for building your units and your furniture and your bed you have got on paper. And then once you've got this, you can go ahead and start your design with pen and paper, or do what I've done, which is what I'll go through in a minute, and that is to draw this out in 3D CAD and then design your van based on that. It's important to note that what I'm going to go through now is purely for basic modelling purposes. So if you're sending off any parts for CNC or you need to accurately model anything, then this is not the sort of route you want to go. This is just for basic modelling and layout of your van. You can do it dimensionally accurate, so you can see if certain things are going to fit and where they're going to fit, but I just want to stress that this is a basic modelling sort of explanation and basic planning of the layout of your van. Now the reason you're going to want to do this is, I will mention this in later on in the video, but the biggest reason you're going to want to do this is that you need to decide on where you're going to keep your electronics and your lighting and stuff, because you need to run all the wiring before you cover up the walls. So when you come to do the insulation, just before that goes on the ceiling, the roof of the van, you're going to need to know exactly where your lighting is going to be, where your electronics are going to be housed, so you can run the wires down to that. So that's the main reason you want to do this. I should add at this point that these dimensions are for a short wheelbase Volkswagen T4 van. If you have the same van, then feel free to copy these or go and measure your own. Right, let's get on with the video. This is my design for my T4. So like I said before, I started off with a blank floor plan. This was generated from the sketch you saw earlier that I did just on a bit of pen and paper. So what I've got here is I put my window in first. So you can see here highlighted is my window. So this design, I should say, actually is based on, this is the front of the van. So you've got the driver's seat here, passenger seat here, and this is the back of the van. So I've got my window in here on the driver's side, going to be cut into the skin of the van, and this is all dimensionally accurate. So you can see if I go to measure this, for example, 1,820 millimeters, so just over 1.8 meters. So the whole model is dimensionally accurate. So like I said, I got my window cut out here, and that was just again for modelling purposes. And the first thing I wanted to do was put my bed in. So with the bed, initially I was thinking go for the standard layout, rock and roll bed, units down the side, and happy days. But when I put some more thought into it, I basically drew the conclusion that it's not something I wanted to do, because I think with the rock and roll bed, it basically cuts off the van. So if I want to, with this design, I can still utilise the full loading length of the van. If I want to put in like a sheet of timber or something like that, I still can. So that's what more drew me to a side pull-out bed more. Also, I know you can get the pull-out drawer on the rock and roll bed underneath, but I feel like you could utilise a bit more storage with the pull-out bed. So underneath the bed, you can put storage, and you had the option for, you know, single or 3/4 full. There was just more benefits for the pull-out bed for me. Also, it didn't mean drilling, you know, 6 or 12 or however many it is large holes in the floor of the van to bolt your rock and roll bed to if it's got seat belts. Passengers wasn't really a factor for me. I'm not planning on taking more than 3 people anyway. So the 3 seats in the front cab is more than enough passenger storage. So anyway, I decided on a pull-out bed. And then that left me with, okay, I've got some space left at the end of the bed at the back of the van. So what should I do with that? So I decided just to, for now, we'll put a storage unit in there. This design is, is subject to change. It needed to happen before the van build started, really, for electronics purposes. But I'll go into that later. So yeah, I had some space at the end of the van, and I just thought, well, I know where my kitchen unit's going to go. I don't really know what else I need, so we'll put some storage there. So I got a storage unit modelled there, and these shelves are just guesses on where I want them. I thought it might be useful maybe if I want to hang a shirt, I could have a wider one, or store something taller. And then I got some smaller ones. These could be divided into 4 if I wanted it to. It's all very subject to change, these here, but you get the idea. Anyway, after that, I was like, okay, I need my kitchen unit. It's not a very good view. So here we go. I was looking at the Dometic Smev combination hob and sink units, and I looked at the slimline one, which is 380 wide, I think. So I've got this. So I made this 400 wide. So I didn't want to encroach on the van space any more than necessary, and also I wanted my pull-out bed to be as wide as possible. So 400, I felt was a nice decision. And then what I've done is extended that out to, I don't know what length actually. So if we do distance, 150. 1430, sorry, all the way is 1430. So that's the length of that, just under 1.5 meters, which is quite long actually for a short wheelbase van. I've got this like overhanging worktop area here, so I thought maybe stuff, fire extinguisher, carbon monoxide detector on there maybe. You can see here, which you will see in future videos, but basically what I'm planning on doing is, this is the sliding door opening modelled, again dimensionally accurate, and basically I just decided the opening doesn't need to be that big, so I've let my kitchen unit encroach on this, and I'll modify the step. So I've got the step modelled here, the cutout, and what I'm going to do is change that on the van so that's smaller to give me more floor space for the kitchen unit. And I thought it would be nice to house my electronics in here, so you need to plan where you're going to put your electronics, because when it comes to running your wiring in the ceiling, this will need to be done before any insulation and in the walls. So it's quite an early stage. You need to know where your electronics are going to go. So I've got the dimensions of the leisure battery I'm going to order, and they'll fit within this gap. So the leisure batteries I think are I got the dimensions written down. It's about 300 by 200 by 100 or something along those lines. They're slimline batteries. And what I did is I actually modelled a battery and ensured that this space was big enough. So I plan on having them side by side in here, and then up here I can have any other controls, the MPPT solar charge controller, and my inverter if I have one, the 12 volt fuse panel, the isolator switch, all those things, voltage sensitive relay, all those things can be housed within here. And then on this front panel here, it gives me space for port outlets, a USB outlet, my control panel for my heating if I have that, and solar charge display, and all those things. So that's quite a nice model. And then what this allows me to do is, when it comes to actually insulating the van, I know with the solar panels installed in the ceiling, I know I need to run my wires down this wall and have it in this area here. And then also for lighting, I know I need to run lighting wires in the ceiling, and then if I want any LEDs anywhere or LED strips or switches, now I know they need to come back to this area in the van. So that's the benefit of doing that. So I think that's most of the things discussed in a quick nutshell in the design. The main thing, you don't have to design your van on 3D CAD obviously, but for me, I've used this software, I'm aware of this software, so I thought why not, and also just for scaling, as well as having an idea where my electronics are going to be housed and whether they're going to fit, so I can run all my wires at the early stage of insulating the van. And then you can see the dimensions of all of your units and how much storage you're going to have, and then plan around that. Or likewise, if you want to decide on you specifically want this hob, or you just specifically want this cooker or this fridge, this sink, then you can design around that as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.